I go for refuge until enlightenment to the Buddha, the teaching, and the spiritual community. By the merit of the teachings, may I achieve Buddhahood in order to help all living beings. I go for refuge until enlightenment to the Buddha, the teaching, and the spiritual community. By the merit of the teachings, may I achieve Buddhahood in order to help all living beings. I go for refuge until enlightenment to the Buddha, the teaching, and the spiritual community. By the merit of the teachings, may I achieve Buddhahood in order to help all living beings.
Oh, yeah.
Look at Barbara.
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah.
Okay. So we have a question to start things out here. So first, can you explain time in relation to Je Tsongkhapa's discussion of lei shikpa, means this destructiveness of karma, or karmic destructiveness? Yeah, we'll try that. The lei shikpa dan kasa du lei shikpe gone sherona du say did lei shikpe gone sherona kasa the relation did du dan lei shikpa ki drawa karayade.
Oh, the lei shikpa suna this one. Oh, lei shikpa suna le debatil shagora. Debatil ya lei shikpa asidwa. Le deba le go shikse badala deba shagora.
So when we say karmic destructiveness, or we're talking about the past, karma past, or something like that.
This one.
No.
Talk about it.
Then it did.
Le shikba din deba le shagora.
No.
Le tata pena meki le rabchi sara.
No.
Ene le de ko takba de marwa.
No.
Le de ko shik dugura jig dugura.
No.
Ne le shikba so this one le deba tirwa.
No.
Deba kam le shagora.
So that means if we are collecting we just say doing or performing a karmic action in the present, that's not going to, the karmic action's not going to stop. Not going to stay forever. It's what do you say? It disappears, and that's a karmic action past, a past karmic action. Yeah.
Shik simba deba sigwa, shik simba tala deba sigwa.
Yeah. So then something that's been destroyed then is something that is past.
No, yeah. Shik simba tala deba sigwa. Tanda kela tanda te magic batala tatawa sigwa.
Then something that's staying without being without perishing is the present.
Kyewe kyu ja ma jeba mahomba. Tanda ko kyewe kyu na ne sa chulu kanga na nyugu tanda kyeme na ni nyugu mahomba sigora. Kyewe kyu ja ma jeba de mahomba.
And then while the causes of of production are all set, then we say that that will be, whatever that is, will be produced, and that's the future of that, whatever that karma is, whatever you want to, whatever it is. It could be a sprout, right?
This one. No. Don't go to Shala.
Indeed, they shikwa did
this one.
So that so now we're ready to go to the text.
Oh, the tongue is going to chill. The Junju Chiva, the baby. Junju Kid. Oh, you're not chill.
So we're going to start with a quote from The Guide to the Bodhisattva's Way of Life. I'm using the translation by Vesna and Alan Wallace.
Oh, yeah. Quand je suis chez son bail, quand t'as un ballon à mettre, attention de pas de section tombe de l'an de. Oh, yeah. On le butcher. On the tiro. Oh, the tati, Junju Nara. The section Bushuala, son lero. Oh, ne. So look at them this way.
Doing Abbey in
Oh, got it this one. The back, I said.
It's on page 18, verse 5.
Chidar Muna, Chidar Semu Muna, tin room now, said. Oh, Chidar Semu Muna, tin room now, say. Look to Kechi Ramna Tambatars, Tish Sanja to it, Yalamna, Jigdensunam Lotu Tangajum. The Deki Wanyamju Nila, take what objection to Meseba. Then it's a bitch and you send me about Kishenka City number Eurosongua. Oh, yeah, in the Karsura. Then the Karsung Bersena. Chidar Semo Mena Tinrum Nase. Semo, Sena Golia. Member says Timber Mambuko, Satan, Chabatan, Rotan, Rochestene. Member says Nabuche Tabate. No, she, you would have never nothing around Julia. Mickey will let any Yurubunesashi. Tobu Mambu Yore, Songora. Chidar Semo Tinrum get Negana. Mina says it Tabate, Yurubu. They go to Tinashing and Ziculiani. Mickey Lady, yes, only teaching Mickey Lady, Shukchambo, Mambuya, Songora, Chita Samuna Deruna. Look, you catch it, I'm not in Batarside. Give some lote, Samu Menajatene, Lo catchy, to Banashingi. Tis you told to Cap Kabimata, give your mother, Songora. Look, you catch it, I'm not in Batars. Tishin Sanje to it, Yalamna, Jigan Sunam Lodo Tanga Jose. Tishin Sanje Tui, Jongama Paksanda, Tende Yobata, Chune, Tende Tula Tane, Cap Kabliane, Chushin Data, give some to two security, give it as order. Tishin Sunam to it, Sanje to it, Yalamna, Jigan Sunam Lodo Tanga Jose. Tanga Union, some young good days on that. Did you love that?
No. Chapter 1, verse 5 says, just as lightning illuminates the darkness of a cloudy night for an instant, in the same way, by the power of the Buddha, occasionally people's minds are momentarily inclined toward merit. So the image here, or metaphor anyway, is of a very dark night, a completely dark night. It says a cloudy night here, it's about to rain. So that's an example. What do you say? An analogy for non-virtuous karma that we've accumulated so much non-virtuous karma that it's like this dark night, like the darkness of this kind of cloudy night. And then so it says, in the same way, by the power of the Buddha. By the power of the Buddha here is referring to, in some former life, we had the good fortune to hear the Buddha's teaching. And so this, by that kind of, because we have that, then occasionally people's minds are momentarily inclined towards merit. The momentariness then is the analogy is that lightning illuminates just for an instant. So just momentarily, we have this occasion to do something virtuous. So this momentarily.
Oh yeah, that's the thing. Gewa thoma meba ne cherwa. Shenla tsewe miki wadi. Ko tu takto ko saka cheche. Tu yunjingbi bado sasha ne mangbu yordo. Oh, tene gewa shenla pemba truba la soba. Gewe semdi lo samsang la keji res kiwa na shi. Nyonyuma do yoma resungu yora. Oh, di lo yu keji ram diameda. Di shi sanje jina sonlo. Dede gewa nyo, dedabo. Mikiwe samlo shala tsawate tukbu mangbo rwa yöringbu sashaba yödengi gewa de kechi samato tundu mato mengi dede gewa nyamchung nile tangarazo sama gewa de nyamchungju shindu ne nyungnyung de nyamabo nipa chungchung de esungu yora dikba de shindu topchenbo gewa ngama ne sasha tsendele sasha yora dikba kar sasha gewe samlo de sita samsamna keji res samlo ke samlo ke yorno o te da bu yimba tena sogora tede gewa nyamchung ara sama tede gewa nyamchung ni la ta tikba topchen bo nyawa yeda tendole keji be tikba chapchen bo ra o tende sasha yore sungora gewa nyamchung ni la ta tikba topchen shindu me seba meba nami be seba meba nyongo ba tabi tikba topchen bo gewa thoma meba na sasha mangbo yore sungora simchen le tsawa cheba dede gewa nyamchung tikba topchen me o de ta tikba chenpo sa yore gewa nyonyoba chung re ta tikba chenpo sa ba te nami debu nyong me gwe ba nyawa yeda tendole ke me gwe ba a kandre cheni yong tukgu re se na simchen le ya tsawa cheni tikba yong gwe za simchen le pembe takbe shen cheba shen le chamba nyingji rwa ane tang nyum la sokpa da chanju sem takbe shen chebe chanju sem la sokpa o tende samlo tangba yina ane ko tikba dima chung luk re sungwa ra tete kewa nyamju nyela tikba du shen me tene sokbe chanju sem meba kishen kanga sigi lembar gyur sokbe chanju ke sem tabu takbe shen cheba o tete bu chanju sem kumgwe yina tege yine ngar thoma meba na simchen la tsawa neba cheba tege tikwa tu suma bahani nyugur drone nami nyong me kweba neba chung do togu re sungo ra shenda ke taga se simchen la tsawa chebe tikwa top chenpo tozo taga togu ma re sungo doa tene sokbe chanju sem meba keshen kanga sigi nambar kyuruse kewa shenda kanga jen sigi nyong togu ma res
So then it says well, this image of the darkness in a cloudy night then is showing how since beginningless time we've accumulated so much non-virtuous karma. The non-virtuous karma here refers to harming other living beings, and then so over that huge period of time, there's our opportunity to do virtuous to accumulate virtuous karma is just momentary, just like the lightning. So then, as it says in the next verse, verse 6, it says, "Thus, virtue is perpetually ever so feeble." So our virtue then, because it only comes, the opportunity only comes occasionally, is very feeble, while the power of vice is great and extremely dreadful. And the power of vice here is referring to non-virtuous karmic actions and the karma accumulated, that non-virtuous karma accumulated. So then if how is it that we're going to avoid the effects of of that non-virtuous karma? How? And it has to be that we have some kind of a virtuous action that's very powerful. So there's different kinds of virtuous actions that we can engage in, but as the karma, the non-virtuous karma was accumulated in relation to living beings, in this case harming living beings, then the one virtue that overcomes that is the spirit of awakening, or the spirit of perfect awakening, the bodhicitta, because that is directed towards all beings and helping all living beings. So there are virtues that will reduce the effects of this serious non-virtuous actions, but the one that's most effective then is this spirit of perfect awakening, which is completely opposed to all the non-virtuous karma that, if we can think of it as completely opposite in terms of the motivation. The motivation is to help and benefit all living beings. So, and then whereas the motivation behind the non-virtues is to harm others. So then, so it's that spirit of awakening that will overcome it.
펜바르 삼바 삼지 장송구도와 근데 펜슬 깨바 삼지 심지어 탐지 좀 통계지 산계지 고만지 도버쇼 섬 펜바르 되베 삼바 삼지 장송구라 펜바르 삼바 삼지 산계 출래 깨바나 송도 주주나 산계 출래 깨바나서 신조와 망볼이야 산계 신가 망볼이야 아니 림보치 나디올로 소바 림보치 최베체 나저기 개방만 붙여발래 장수도 손님 셈에가 사그래데 산계 출래 개발도 파고했더니 손님 사그래 송거라 장주심 바가 심지어 탐지도 산계고바 토벌샤냐베 섬을 코아삼기 펜바삼바 삼기 산계 출래 개파나서 심지어 말로 탐지기 대대전 범매시고 심지어 동에도 트라베체도 네 펜시 지기 있으면 거에서 애니 펜발이야 전에 그러와 근데 제바들 손님 전부 도받아 매매고야래 게시해 먹어야래 송거도
motivated by love and compassion, then we have this attitude of wanting to attain highest enlightenment for the sake of all living beings. This is the attitude of the spirit of awakening. So then if we generate this spirit of awakening, then it's like it's like a wish-granting jewel. It mentions later on in this chapter. It's just that everything comes out of this attitude that we take into. We take all living beings into consideration and then we want to not just think about benefiting all living beings, but we engage in actually and working for their welfare.
Oh yeah, that ko kyo thoma neva ne jero. Ani sosu keshen bu chi je sosu tendalia shenla chawa che ne tende che te yora. O de yendu ta te bu mambu sa te bate. Ta tanda sosu zo namba che jero. Ani shenla pembe samlo. Zo danje. Shenla chawa ba ngazu kibu chung ka shenla chawa ba. Shen sim jen ya niri chakda meba. Danyum ko yenda. Ani shen sim jen ra le kya shen che ban zen sero. Chanju sim sero. Tezu sangma tamje zo de sim jen sum gudwa. Ngara zo sim jen liya samlu tandang chane. Sim jen liya chawa che da. Tele soso ke chawa che dige dipa sa yora. Ta membe che sim jen ke chawa che soso ke chawa che. Ani shen ben ge chawa la che. Kibu chungu ina da, kibu ding ina da, kibu chimbu ina da. Sim jen zo che che. Sim jen le chawa pa pemba tuye. Di zo re de dwa. Oh, di le ya chue se dwa. Oh, di che.
We've accumulated all this non-virtuous karma from just thinking about ourselves and then thinking, well, it's okay to harm living beings because I will benefit. So in thinking like that, then we have accumulated a lot of non-virtuous karma. So when you have this spirit of awakening, then you're switching around and thinking of, well, you're reorienting yourself is maybe a better way of putting it, and you're thinking of others. Your focus is on others and doing what you can to work for their benefit. So when you when you're benefiting, let's see, sorry. So instead of emphasizing yourself, you're emphasizing others, and we can emphasize others in three different ways. Whether it's the initial level of practice where we're abstaining from harming any living being, or the middle way of practice, or the intermediate level of practice where we're overcoming, creating a sense of impartiality. It's sometimes translated as equanimity, free of any attachment or hostility, or the advanced level of practice where we're totally exchanging our reorienting ourselves so that we're no longer focused on ourselves, but are focused only on others, with the spirit of awakening.
Shenji kale kyab kangpa kyab tene tesara yore. Shenji kale kyab ni tezu soyeche tezu kanga nganzu pechu cheche tsokura. Susu kyangkyang chibu teche tsoyeche yomara, tsotuyeche yomara kwa kwa nikana. Paji tsuji mi kanga ki chigi roba che tengereche. Pamundaji nangmi chi yene ko nangmi chigi chiliya pento ki yozan chamba tsawa yungdo. Ta tanda ngara zun zambulin koranda ko chigi chiliya ko pento tenge kashegi shingatab kashegi namdru suya kashegi tene kangba kyab kashegi kari ngara zu koya koku kanga kangdegidwa sorik batuzu inada menlo lobga inada drala lomga inada lobjong sangmadi jene ngara zu mi chizo nalo tsoni yabuchi tetu gyora chizo ko kadu ina shendaji le tene tinle tene tsokoya kyangredwa pama ina mena tinten kebri chesigidwa tinten kebri chen komne tin chenpo re samche kadu tsona ko shenji tinle tene ra tsokogdo sam digi yongogdo samne ane simchen liya pemba chuya dan tin chenpo soya chidwa dina sheni nga zo dina yongogdo sangyeba la tarwa toba la ngesung dunga le tarwa la simchen le teo kyora simchen le tsawa paandawa chenirwa simchen liya tene dangbe shenji be chamba chimba tsutim soba samde tinrijin sangye butu sungdo sangye da simchen yibde rang sangye bada tarwa toba da ngesung dunga le tuwar chebe tinchi yusne kyawa yo mara sungdo sangye nganzu tsa chimba shibi tsuyure simchen liya ke mize kare sungdo sangye da simchen la kare suchi tinte chinde simchen pe ke chambu cheche nangbe chodira ti ke chambu tsuyudo nganzu ti chile
You have to say, I hope the person is hearing him better today, the one who knows Tibetan. Tell Guruji.
No, I already did all that. Yeah.
Okay, son,
Yeah,
can you hear him
yeah,
now?
taken care of.
If they
Yeah,
can't, they can call
yeah,
me.
taken care of. So then, when we think about generating the spirit of enlightenment, or I call it the spirit of enlightenment, here it's called the spirit of awakening, our usual approach is to see all living beings as a very close, in a very close manner, and the person that we regard as closest to us is usually the mother. So then we regard all beings as having as being our mothers, and then we think over their kindness and then want to return their kindness, and based on that, then we develop the what's called an affectionate love for all living beings. So there's also something referred to as a special way of remembering the kindness of all living beings. We have a tendency just to not that. Sorry. When we are those close to us, then we can have, as they're benefiting us, then we have this our love and compassion for them. But in order to expand our love and compassion, then we remember the kindness of all living beings and see how all living beings are kind to us, and that there's various ways they are kind to us. Or certainly, it seems that we couldn't survive without others. And that they provide others. All living beings are kind because in that they provide, like our food, or the place that we live, food, shelter. Then also they provide all our resources, any kind of resources, planes. Computers and so forth, whatever. All these are come to us out of the kindness of other living beings. And then if we then add that aside from these mundane or worldly ways that all living beings provide for us, there's also the I guess we'd have to use the word spiritual in this case. I try to avoid it, but the spiritual needs that they provide for us, whether it's whether we have a goal of attaining, the final goal of a Shravaka or a Pratyeka Buddha or a of a Bodhisattva, that it doesn't really matter, because it's all of those goals are dependent upon other living beings. Whether there isn't any practice that we do that isn't dependent upon others in order for us to achieve that practice. So then, and the highest goal of becoming a Buddha certainly is dependent upon others. So then, in a way, we can think of others as being more kind to us than the Buddhas, because it's through others that we can directly achieve any of the goals that Buddha has set out for us. So in that sense, then all living beings are especially kind.
Sangye simje nigel tene ko sangye gu yora tarwa top gu do sangye simje ga sangye chudum jawala gela ku chi teshin do simje la mi chi chu se na shi ko ne ga na ya simje gi ran pemba chu ne de wan jong gu yora ka tu yin simje de so gu do tin chen bu ra o tene ya tarwa tamje ke be ko ma top gu ne simje li ya cha da ba chang ba ni ji ko me da tendel teni ando ko yora o tiendi ko kadu ina ya riandro del semjen so chen yongdo o ko ne ga na semjen so chen so ko yora tiendi ke ke shimbre so yora o semjen so chen pamba tu so che ko yora.
So we have to emphasize others, or make them our principal focus, I think, is a better way to say it. Then, that's whether we're cycling through samsara over and over again. It's based on their kindness that we have any happy. So whether it's the Buddhas or sentient beings, still it's sentient beings that are kind to us because when we're cycling through samsara, then we have they're the ones that are providing everything for us that gives us some happiness and pleasure. And then when we're working for the goals, whatever goals it might be, to liberation or omniscience, then it's all from the kindness of other living beings. So then it's clear then that we have to make them our principal focus.
Oh yeah, they do sanje ge sung do. Da da simje na ne te da dong e sung de bes. Sanje da simje zo te bu chona ga ga yu simje dong e chona 나 가보 매송게 송거라 뒤도 먼저 뒤도 냠냠세도와 미지도 부정선아 나 뒤냠데 동에 예세서 그렇지 시에도 뒤선데 상경원에 송거도 다다 심지어 남네 대다 동에 송도래 강시 심지어 내지되네 달라지 될거 요새 가시 심지어를 쳐가지고도 영화를 구해가지고도 스티커를 송거라 상계를 구샵제 대가지고라
네.
대체에 상계고 샤나 차와방 샤나 템버트 심지어 탐제가 된도리네 개방만 못갈래 잡단도 상계네 자신부에 섬겨라 티네 고 심지어데 이 템버트에서 텐데 개심부지네 상계를 스티처네 대가지고라 네 대가지니 한 심지어를 차와셔야 되나 그 컨트롤해서 그런 거 대가 가르쳐 주고라 송겨라 그래서 그나 아마질 부시여서 아니 아마데 때 야부이 세 부들을 내가 되나 아마 가그 말와 되고 될 심젤이야 상젤이야 심제 참젤이야 마 부치부터 붙어와요라 동해다 전화 대화던 데나 좀 뒤던다 탑신나게요라 어디인데 심제 쏘 제고야 돼도 한 가지 가리내면
The Buddha stated that when others suffer, I suffer. When others are happy, I am happy. So if this reflects the Buddha's feeling that all living beings are like his only child. When a mother, it's that mother-like feeling. The mother, when their only child is suffering, they suffer. When the only child is happy, they're happy. And so, if we have this idea of emphasizing other living beings, then the Buddha is going to be happy. He's not happy if you're just, necessarily happy if you're, what do you say, having faith and confidence in the Buddha. If you're happy, if you're emphasizing, what do you say, making living beings your principal focus, then that's what makes the Buddha happy.
Oh yeah, 단데 보시러. 다된다고 다게 아니 단다 령아 예숨지고 내심제나 저와방 아니 심제 동해의 전도지 참바다 세와심 충충되네지 아니 심제 탐제 동해 탐제다 저와 대화 탐제단 된 버치 tumgen기 상계지 고마지 토가자기 대체도 아니 상계지 고마 톱지게 탑 동반일로 속바 시계배 숑디 냥기 삼제 장주기 셈지 삼바 상부 짜침부터 안에 단단한서 강가 투고요 말때 심제 탐제기 좀 통계게 단단의 차와 방반에 송디 아야게 안에 로 심제 탐제기 좀 통계게 펜반바시 좀 통계게 상계지 고마지 토바샤기 대체도 안에 상계지 고마 톱지게 추 동반이지 추디 냥기 삼배 그런거 심배권에 추디 냐나 and I son of my busa, take what you chose to do. Oh, yeah,
So, if we motivate ourselves then to listen to these teachings, then we would think, starting with avoiding any out of an attitude of love and compassion to abstain from harming others. And then working up to overcoming trying our hardest to develop the spirit of awakening or spirit of enlightenment in order to what do you say, out of that same love and compassion in order to benefit all living, in order to attain Buddhahood for the benefit of all living beings, then I will generate this, I will, what do you say, listen to these teachings on emptiness. So if we motivate ourselves in that way, then we will, accumulate a great merit from listening to these teachings.
Oh yeah,
So we're on the topic of in this 11th chapter of permanent time, and I'm going to start with the first stanza here.
Oh, that on that day ko richi ba se do to sum se sto ba se de. Ne nangba sanje ba nga je jira ma to so ge tene to sum se sto ba ma ge ora. Keling ge ora. Dijilam
No. So this is addressing the Vedantikas who are proponents of permanent time, but it mentions here assertion of Vedantikas and other proponents of permanent time. There are other proponents, and like the Vaibhashika in the Buddhist, the followers of the Buddha, and the Vaibhashika also have this idea that time is substantially existent.
Oh, they don't no, yeah, that's the Maloshan culture. Yeah, that Mamon Pumla, Tadarwe, Pumi, my Deva Mesic, Mamon Be Pumbalia, and Tadawe, Pumbayova, my Deva, Eva Marisiva, Pumbatelia, Tatawe Pumba, Deve Pumba, Mamon Be Pumbasumura, oh, Mount Pena, Mamon Be Pumbasina Pumbeku. Dagmarachi Kochi Sodegana, Pumbasogate Sodegana, or to do Zanko, Pumbe Maombara, Pumba Yungura, so we are Kuikas, Pumbe Kuikas, Pumba Maombara, Digua, oh, Teneta, Pumba Sursona, Pumba Samayabu Sursona, Pumba Tatawarva, oh, Tatine, Pumba de Charsona, Charge, Charsona, Pumba Devara. Tita Kangal Chibarwa. Wabuk Teta take Kunegam Mahumbare. Kesona, Javashe Kesonako, Tataware. Keva de Ko Shiksarsona, Devara. Timabu Kangal Chibarwa. Tichila.
So all composite things, or in this case, in this translation called functional things, are all of them are similar to this idea of a vase in terms of the three times, that the future vase is when you have all the the water and the clay, and you're forming it, and you have all the ingredients for the vase to be created, and so that's the future vase. The vase will be created out of that, and once it is created, and once you have the effect of those, that would be the present vase. And the past vase is when that vase is destroyed.
This one. Oh yeah, the Indita Kokasora. Oh, this love God was enough. Oh yeah, did the shit. How did you learn camera? That under Gazo, Carisodo. Carichaga Maza. Oh, there. Tandas a Tiririba. Tiri. Oh, ne, Tanda, Chozu Session, do you matter? Tiri, Chozu Tandakazi, Mare Tiri. Ore Tiri Sani Yongiora. Sani Yongiora. Tiri Sebakazere.
Seba Nisha Shimenda.
You step Shirwa. Dawakare.
Geba.
Dawa Geba. Chekton Gubjanga Junga Jura. Mare Chutura. Oh yeah. Chekton Gubja Chutu. Dawa?
Dawa de Geba.
Geba. Dari Nishu.
Dari Nishu Zanga. Zapshi.
Nishu Zapshirwa. That Dawa Chekton Gubja Chuturwa. And then Dawa Kare. Geba. Tari Tirin Chudurwa. Chubdundi.
Telling the Nishitsa Shirwa.
Nishu Shirwa, Nishu Zangade.
Zangade.
Tari Nishu Zangade Data. Tari Nishu Zangade Tirin Kareta. Devare Mahore Tadaware.
Tadaware.
There is Sani the Sigida. Tari Nishu Zabdundi.
The Sunny the
Tirin Tari Nishu Zangade.
Shirwa.
Zangade.
Zangade.
Sani Tari Nishu Zangade. Oh, Tirin Kareta, Devare Mahore Tadare. Tirin Mahombarwa.
Dandawarwa.
Mahombarwa.
Mahombarwa.
Oh, dear Mahomba Yungirwa Tanda. Sani Tari Nishu Narva. Tari Nishu Natiri Yongsare Yungire.
Yungirwa.
Oh, Mahombarwa Tiri. Sani Tari Nishu Nati. Tiri Mahombarwa.
Oh, Tiri Mahombarwa.
That's all. Tiri Mahombarwa. Oh, yeah. Tari Nishu Zangadi. Tiri Mahombarwa. Oh, Sani
Dandawarwa.
Tadawarendura. Sani Reson Tadawarendura. Nanyanga Devarendura. Roma Devarendura. Oh, teacher, Tendita?
Oh, Dandas Laka.
Yeah, oh, Tisla.
So then, if we look at time, I mean, look at time in terms of the date. Say the date today is August 24th, 2016. So then, what is tomorrow relative to today would be the future, okay? So relative to today, we have to say, and then relative to tomorrow, the day after would be the past of tomorrow. So yeah, okay.
There's all. Oh yeah, I'm not doing that. That didn't Nishunga de Mahomba. Raw. Sani Hungura. The Tari Nishunga de Rava, the Rishirva. Tari Nishunga de Mahomba. Yeah. Oh, they. Tari Nishunga de Tirin Tadaware Mahomba.
Daring Mahomba.
Tadawade, Tari Nishunga, Tadawade, Tirin Mahomba. Tari Nishunga, and in Debate. Naninga Dedura.
Naninga.
Dedura. A Tirinkare. Debate. Tari Nishunga Debate.
Oh, daring the
Debate Mahomba.
Mahomba.
Yungurabako. Oh, Yindusa Tari Nishunga any Mahomba de Rawa. Tari Nishu Mahomba de Mahomba Nishunga Mahomba Rawa. Ina Nishunga la Tete Carreto. Nishunga Sani Levingura. Tela Tete Debareta.
Tela Tete, oh, dating.
Tari Nishunga the Sani Levionde. Any Tari Nishunga Mahomba de Desorada. Mahomba de Tirimba. Tari Nishunga Mahomba Tirimba.
Oh, they Mahomba de Deva.
Mahomba de Tirimba. Tari Nishunga Sani Levgirva. Sani Lev Sonoko Nishunga Tadawarva. Net Tari Nishunga Deva de Desarta Yomare. This on the mass.
Oh, they because a Mahomba de Deva.
Oh, Deva, Chesa Tari Nishunga Mahomba de Tari Nishunga la Tete Mahomba Eja. Tari Nishunga Lebionde. Tari Nishunga la Tete Devarwa. Desagdo, Kongin Rosagdo. These are
because they're dating Deva.
Oh, Chesa Deva. Pumbe Deva, Pumbala Tete Mahomba Setire. Pumbe Deva, Pumbe Mahomba Eja, Pumbala Tete Deva. Chesa Tari Nishunga Mahomba de Mahomba Pumbe Mahomba de Rawa, Pumba Mahomba Tirinwa. Ina Pumbala Tete Sani Pumbala Yonde, con Deva Shasore. Pumbe Mahomba de Pumbala Tete Deva Sharda.
Dating because they Deva.
Deva Shasarwa. Mahomba de Mevashan Kotata or Sarwa. This one.
No, de.
So Pumbella 30, Pumbe Mahon Bade, Pumbe Mahon Bade Rede, Pumbella Turna con Deva Resher.
No, de.
Drosare, Pumbeke on the Tataria.
No, de.
Pumba Mahon Bade Desarva.
No, de.
This one.
No, de. Mamba de daytime.
Desar, so Pumbe Mahon Basia, Tari Nishunge Mahon Bade,
No,
and Tari Nishunga la 30, Deva Resor.
because Nisha she de.
Nishunga la 30, Nishunga la 30, Deva.
No, de.
Nishushiliako, Nishunga de Mahomba.
No, de.
Then Nishunga Leon do Nishushi de Desarva.
No, daytime.
And Nishunga Mahomba de Desarva.
No, de. No, de.
This one.
No, de.
What did you like that?
So if we look at the relationship between these today and tomorrow, that today is tomorrow is the future for the 25th. If we just use the numbers, the 25th will be the future. Is the future in relative to the 24th. When the 25th arrives, it becomes the present, okay, and therefore relative to the 25th, then the 24th becomes the past. No, because Nishu she did deba chagide.
Nishunga she did Desa, Nishunga take Mahomba, Nishunga Mahomba, Desora.
So then that means that the future has become past, right? It's past. Tomorrow the 25th.
So that means?
No, that means that the future relative to today, that which is relative to today, the 25th, is future. But when it it's being the future, what do you say? Passes once the 25th arrives. So then the future is past, right? It becomes. Is destroyed, right? That idea of future.
Tari Nishunga Kapsurwa, Tari Nishunga Mahomba and Desaswa.
So that we say that the future is past, right? Once we get to the 25th.
Mahomba, Tari Nishunga Mahomba, Tari Nishunga Nimutelia, Tari Nishunga Mahomba and Desarwa.
The future day, that, like we say, well, instead of using the word tomorrow, the future day has passed, right? That's what happens once we arrive at the 25th.
Oh, Tari Nishunga Mahomba Shiwara. Tari Nishunga Mahomba. Tari Nishunga Mahomba. Nishu tu ninga de Mahombaroa. Nishu tu le Tari Nishunga de Mahombaroa. So Tari Nishunga Mahomba de Tari Nishunga la Tete Kare, Tari Nishunga Yamude in the Kokare.
Mahomba Marabe.
Tari Nishunga. Tari Nishunga Mahomba de Chinsa, Tari Nishunga and then Debate Sigora. Tari Nishunga and Debate, Tari Nishunga and Deba Yaja, Tari Nishunga la Tete Mahomba. This one. Tari Nishunga Siorwa, Tari Nishunga Tigi, and Deba Siora. Tari Nishunga Deba. Nishunga Deba Situ Nishu Druninga Dera.
Oh, they.
Tari Nishu Drula, Tarina Dev said it, yeah.
So then when we get to we can think of also the 25th as being the past of the 26th, you know.
Oh yeah, tari nishu ngai debatira. Oh tene tari nishu tuli yongorwa shine yongorwa. Inde tari nishu ngai debate tari nishu ngala tode mao bare dedwa.
But relative to the 25th, the 26th is future, right?
Oh yeah. That did do matter. That did lamna and did transgression, did matter.
So then we can sort of, you know, with this kind of, what do you say, preview, then we can take a look at this verse and sort of understand what's being.
Oh, that and the ditch lamna kajere. That tusum says years ago. Tusum cinema, Deba, Maomba, Tata, Sunga says you are resigora. Oh, Karesna. Debate Kesadirwa, Tiringanzu Debra, Dirin to the Kesadin Desarwa. In a Kesadi, Ganzu Samlutans in the Sobare, Geshe, Concachera. Tirin Samlutana, or Kesanganzu Tindit in the Chebi, some Deba Samlukuyora. Tindukun Debate, your says to but remove Resigora. Debate. Shibaki Samlutan you do. O Kesayabuchum, so Yabuchum, so said to the door. Oh, Sunny. Yungju de nga zuke che shegrwa sanyi yungju de la jako maumba de jesu yore sigore maumba de o kare sanga zo maumba le tinde sanyi tinde chigre tinde chigre se samlo kogdwa o sheba de chamare sigora sanyi nyima shagre sne chamare de horako tande ta sanyi nyima de shayo marwa so maumba de jesu tu bare sigore tata janja maren de sarate to what is it? Debe Pumba says to what Maum Tato Pumba says to what Maumbe Pumba says to what is it? To some says to what Mangati.
Says to Juba then, because Dapa and Jigba, the young
Dapa Juba Mari. Says to us no over Javachi to get
So we also have to know that. In the did Chejama wanted.
Did and that Chedama in the cigarette, dig it and in the cigar and Richi Barret.
The Vedantikas and the Vaibhakas both have this idea that the past, the present, and the future are all substantially existent. Substantially existent here means that they're able to perform a function. That their ngobo means like that. It's being translated here as functional. What did functional things or something? Functional phenomena, however you want to use that word. So then, so how do they arrive at that understanding? When we're today, we can think about yesterday and understand that, oh, we had some great teachings and there were some, you know, we had a interesting Aryadeva talked about various things that were very interesting, and we can think them over, and therefore they're performing a function. Therefore, we can think of them as being substantially existent. And then the same goes for the future. We can think, oh, tomorrow we have to, and you make a plan and you set out and you think, oh, tomorrow's teachings will cover this, and we can think about what tomorrow's teachings are. So then the teaching, tomorrow, the future also performs a function. We can think about it and plan for it and so forth. So then that's also substantially existent. It's a functional phenomena, and so then of course the present is a substantially existent, or is also substantially existent.
No, ya tanga dialogue inda. Maun pumla tatarwe pumyu maise deba mesigdo. Tiring te ngazuka sure. Tiring sanyi maoba yimba. Sanyi maoba tiring yimba. This one. Tiring sanyi maoba rawa. Oh ya te. Tiring mahon ba la sigora tiringi mahon ba la ya ane sanyi ki tadawa de mahon ba rawa sanyi tadawa yongyurwa tanda sanyi lepsunu sanyi tadawa chagra sanyi tadawa de mahon ba re ane sanyi ki deba de mahon ba re tirin rawa tirin sanyi ki deba de mahon ba rawa sanyi ki deba yongyurwa sanyi deba de nani ga yongura rawa o cheza seta tirin de karsure sanyi ki mahon ba re tirin sarni mahon ba re de ane tatawe pumba yo ma re tatawe sanyi ki yo ma re ane debe sanyi de yo ba ma re sigare
tatawe
mahon pumla seta pumbal chara tanda ngazu sanyi sikden ba lela me to samke chikba yusare mahon pumla tadarwe pumbyo maye mahon be pumba yo ba tirin sanyi de mahon ba rawa mahon be sanyi tanda ne yose de yora tanda ne yose de yora
mahon be de yo
tanda yose de yora ne ane mahon be pumba la sanyi de yo ne mahon be pumbe de so tadawa de mahon ba re se tadawa de yo gore mahon be pumbe de so mahon be pumba deba de mahon ba re te tanda yo gore ene tanda pumba chi yo mahon be pumba chi yo tadawa pumba chi yo debe pumba chi yo kaga yo gore se gore tene de da ge da de kanchi tingi
de indicate
de lapshi de da
de indicate den de saborama de mahon
pumla tadarwe pumbyo mai deba yo ba mai se kera jane yo ba re do re se gora tu sumga chesu yesana sumga chetu yena mahon ba chesu yo go ne sanyi de tiri mahon ba re sanyi de tiri yo gora na ni ga de karse deba ti na tie tanda yo gora tu sumga ki pumba tanda yo do gora da digre
de wa
yeah
so then it mahon bumba la danda we bumye mayen deba me did young George sonante
yo ya yang mahon
Translator's having a problem.
shida ke chimbo mare digre sambudwa shida ke chimbo mare mahon be pumba te la sigora ene tadawe pumba te mahon ba re de mahon be pumbe tu so tadawe pumba te mahon ba re de tadawe pumba yo ma re sigora mahon be pumbe tu so ene debe pumba te tanda yo ma mahon ba re de tin debe pumba te yo ma re sigora ta tanda yeah do it.
So the present pot and the past one do not exist in the future pot. Okay, so at the time of the present pot, the future pot, that what they're asserting is that all the pots exist all at once. Okay, then the present pot and the past pot do not exist at the time of the future pot. The present pot, what do you say? At the time of the future pot would be past, and the past one, the past pot then is not existent because the future pot hasn't come about yet. So,
then
so it follows that the present pot does not exist in the future pot, nor does the past pot exist at that future time. For if they both existed at that time, time would be disrupted, since things that are to occur later would already exist at earlier times.
Dimenda, I think what issue. Tanibate,
then it did because I do.
Didn't do so.
They do so. Then
This one, that did do that.
Deal over here.
Below him. Below him, yeah, don't do that. 다 관계 처리 교세 때나 하시기도. 대 다다르니 시기도. 분변 대바다 분변 다다 아니 되시거라. 아니 분변 마음배 뒤서 고 마음바래 하시기거라. 마음바 나시거라. 마음배 뒤서 타외서는 대배 분바다 다다의 분변이부터 분변 마음배 가서 아니 마음바래도 그러시거라. 탈외 대세 마음바 대체를 마음바 니지 ngoni jitumna ta maomba la maomba ngoni jitumna ane de bombe de bada bombe tata ani buti maomba rendu gresi wara maomba jurkolas tedana tu sumjar maomba jubuta bombe de bada bombe maomba da bombe tata sumga de bombe de rendu gresi wara da 대 다다 미스티는 대바다 다다 미스 버전도 강가 마음 버전도 그래서라 대단한 강도 마음 버샤 미니베 마음 버니 자 마음 버죠네 대바다 다다 매는 마음 버 고란 샤투 말에 마음 버 매버제네 대 마음 튜숨가 매번도 그래서라 된데서 티치로다 되게
Are you saying which assertion and what verse? You haven't been saying any of that. I want you to clarify.
What's that?
You're on where you're looking at the text.
Oh, where I'm in the text?
You haven't been doing it.
Oh, sorry. We're on verse. The commentary for the first two lines I just read, right?
Well, you didn't say it.
You want me to repeat it? I can do that.
Yes.
Okay. So the commentary on the first two lines is the present part and the past one do not exist in the future part. That's the two lines of the verse. But in the
What verse? Verse 252?
251. We're on the first verse. Yeah. And so, and then, so the present part, we're just starting right in with the verse. We're not doing anything about, what we covered, how the Vaidantikas and Vaibhashikas assert. It follows that the present part does not exist in the future part, nor does the past part exist at that future time. For if they both existed at that time, time would be disrupted, since things which are to occur later would already exist at an earlier time. So that covers the first two lines. Then the next two lines is that since both would be future, the future would not exist. So also at any time, any one time, another cannot exist. For these reasons, then, so that time would be disrupted and at any one time another cannot exist, then for these reasons, since both past and present would be future, if they existed at the time of the future part, they do not already exist at that time. If the future of the future existed by way of its own entity, it should be future. So we're talking about these existing by way of their as their own entity. In that case, since all three times would have to be future, there could not be any past or present. If that were so, the future itself would not exist, since it could not be posited as future in relation to anything.
No. This one. Yeah, don't do logo. You but tell Len Gagwan is do. Chitin debe pumba, maumbe pumba la, ye meba menges. Debe pumba las, debe pumba tese, maumbe pumba la ya, tene, zawane meba marese. Ron debe pumba te, maumbe pumba la ya, ne, maumbe chachani yorese. This one's like you made to shenase, Len Jagdoa. Tadilia zawa, get it shikba maumbe. ngoro mao la ye na se kede pumba shikba stu deba de sigara pumba shikba mao be pumbe tu de mao be ngoro mao ba la ye na se mao be ngo chene mao ba de ye sigara o tina debe pumba de mao bar tha se debe pumba de mao ba yin bar tha mao be pumbe tu ko mao be ngo ni ngoni YouTube chirsigdo dona deba member talo ne deba de maumba redure deba de deba member talo sigdo taba yode seta maun tani to ye kan teni chidar deba jurte menjuro se shologa sigan chimani yongdo
So the next verse, 252, the assertion is the past part is not altogether non-existent in the future part, since there is a part of it which has not yet come into existence as an entity that has occurred, there is no error. If a disintegrated, so the verse, that's the assertion, then the verse is, if a disintegrated thing exists as a future entity in the future. How can what is future in nature become that which is past? So if at the time of the future part, the disintegrated part existed in the future as an entity which had not yet come into existence, it would follow that the past part was future because of being as its existing as its own nature, its own entity, that which has not yet occurred. That which has not yet occurred at the time of the future part. If this, it would follow that the past part was future because of being by way of its own entity, that which has not yet occurred at the time of the future part. If this is accepted, it follows that there would be no past. Thus, this would necessarily be so, for how could anything that truly existed as future in nature become past? It is contradictory.
Oh yeah, don't do that. Shibade. Do some says and you guys. Dinner says to me, Tata Tawa down said it. They lank up until she was subject. Mamba said to cover the she. Tambuche anybody lank up with the research. But says to me, Tata Tawa said it. Somebody say.
So that
somebody says to me.
Somebody shake you there.
Yeah,
so we're refuting a substantially existent future and showing the first verse then showed the fallacy if the future is truly existent, and then the second one is refuting the rejoinder. The third one here, 253.
This one? Yeah. Somebody says to me, and it Tadara Tavanese. Deba the Maumba Pumbato says to be and they Tador into Resigua. Two Mawa Kyota Nase, Maombe Mobo Yonas, Maombe Pumbati Yonasigora, and then Maombe Pumbe Moboro, Tadawan duties, and the Maombe Pumbetsule, Maombe Pumbati Tadawaji Yogo Resigora, says you know. Tadawan duty in Yoratarse. So Kange China Maong Mao Tado Nejuna, Mao Betsudo, Zesubachi, Yonasiguara. De Chena Tadawara, Gurde Mao Nimisese, Mao Be Pumbate, Mao Betsudo, Pumbengo, Lene de Yona, and Tadawa Rendo Resigora. Tadawa Yanani, Mao by Yon Sigma Resigora. Gurde Mao Nimisese. Mao Be Pumbate Sigora. Any Mobuche Yobena, and the Mao Be Pumbate, Tadawa Rendo Resigora. Kupumbate Killer, Mangaba, Pumbastera. Tadawa Rendo, Mao Rigma Resigora. Tadawa Yanani, Mao Be Pumbate Tadawa Yana, and the Mao Be Pumba Meva Rendo Resigora. Techena Tadawa, Gurde Mao Nimissis. Tada. So
then, this third section is to consequence that it is present if substantially established. So in 253, the verse is clear. Because of being future in nature, a future functional thing is thus present and cannot be future. If it exists by as its own entity, then it would now exist, and therefore it would be, but then it would be present. So then it couldn't become future.
This way. Shiba Tusum says so Yona Midagba Missiba Tosigua. Debe Pumba, Maumbe Pumba, Tadawa Pumba, Tusumga de Sesuyena, and Kanga Tatawa into Risura. You don't kill the ten Mangaba Chini, Tatawa Sigora. I think Tatawa into this. Shiba Tusumga says so Yona. Maritandan did it one. Shiba Tusumga de Sesuyena, Debe Pumba, Maumbe Pumba, and Tata Pumba Sumga de Ses to Bengoba Yenasigora. And Yena Midaba Missibata, and Midaba Rigma Taba Regresora. Pumba Maumbe Come Pumba Yora, Maumbe Pumba Yora, Ses Yara. And Tata you did it, Tata Pumba de Yora, Yogora. And there's a doing David Pumba Yesigora. And Pumba de Tambune and do Niban do their son and doa. Mahomba Jula Majikon and doa. Mahomba comes to Curubat and the Jimmy Omara. And Mahomba Pumba Yona, Jula Majibekon, called Cutus in the Yesara. Mahomba Pumba Yosa. And the day Tata and Yosa. And Mahomba Pumba Jora, Mahomba Pumba Yora, and their son Yora. And Pumba Tawa is one cigarette. Could you do so Yore? And they Yore, their son Yora. What do you say that?
So here the showing briefly how. Oh, sorry, wrong fourth. This one. Consequence that impermanence is impossible if all three times is substantially existent. When we say substantially existent, we're saying substantially existent functional things. So then, if all three are substantially existent functional things, then let's see. The verse says, then the past would exist, okay, and the present would exist, and all three would exist in the present, and let's say the past would exist. No, let's not say that. Let's say the past would exist, the present would exist by way of its own, as its own entity. Let me say the past would exist as its own entity, the present would exist as its own entity, and the future would exist as its own entity. Therefore, they would never change, and therefore we would have to say that the past, present, and future are permanent or eternal.
Maon pa ye se do. Maon be pumbe ku tu su pumba maon ba re tu pumba yo ra asia ra. Maon pa ye. De ba ye pumba shik sa de ya. De be pumba ye se do asia ra. Ne tadar wa ye tata wa de ko ye ra pumba tata sa ne yo ra. Tata wa ye chi shi me se. Ta ku tu so do kuran do ga cha ne yang do ga. Ko mebe tu de mindo tambu ku tu ne chen do ga. Mahomba ko mahomba ren ta pariste degra. Ane ko da mebe tu su mebe re do re se re. Da yena kange tu ge ye nye ba te meda ni ka re. Tu ta to duwa se ku ne kam dan du ko na yu tu du de sa ne te de ne tak pa re de duwa se ra. Mebe re yo ma ra ko. Tambu ne je tu mahomba ne ma ne mahomba ro. Ka tu ko mahomba ka tu ne ma ne yo sa ro. Thoma mebe ne yo sa ko mahomba ro. Tanda yore ta mahomba na pete degra. Midak bare me doa se pumba de. Tak bare doa se ora. Oh.
So if you're going to say that the verse is saying if the future, past, and present exist, here, what does not exist? How can there be impermanence for one for whom all times exist? That's verse 254. So here, then, usually we think of the past as when something's destroyed. The present is when something exists. The future is when it will come into existence. But here, the understanding is that they're all, exist as their own entity. Therefore, the future, the past exists now. The present, the future exists now, and the past. I'm missing things. Let me start again. Okay, the past exists now, right, as its own entity. The future exists now as its own entity, and the present, of course, exists now as its own entity. Therefore, these three have always existed from beginningless time up to now. Then they would just be permanent. You have to think of them as being permanent.
Ngobo range chanyi je truba nam. Ngobo pumbata bo. Ngobo pumba range chanyi je truba ngobo pumbata yesera. Nam. Maobe tuna yesek do asera. Maoba de kadure pumbe kyutu surwa. Jera ko ngema ne ma je ba do ko maoba re dera. Jera maobe tuna yeshin yesera. Debe tuna yola. Tene tata wacha ne desa ne tanda debe pumba yorwa se ora. Yola tata we cheya yore se. Kene ngobe chachi shi tu namje se me se. Pumba de ta kadu mebre che me do yoyo ra se ora. Thoma meba ne yosho ora ko maung barwa tanda keje bado. Kene ngazu tirin di sondu so de tirin son di jinde so bate maung chung yo marwa. Yema maung ba se terwa. Te tidi ne jinde di so bate yo ora. Ta jinde so sa sangi ne maung deba re sangi na ni shini ko ni takba re shi yo de ra. Te ko mebe tu ju me do. Ngadi ne yebe di chema do tanda do maung ba ne te nge ma ne yo de ra. Takba re me da ba me sha re se gora. Ko ka ge tu kun do che su yo ba ni te me da ba ni ka le ngabo takba misi bar thas. Itu soalnya ko ka ge tu kun do yo ba ni te tu tak do yo na. Ene te me da ba ni ka le ngabo me da ba misi bar ta me da ba ri ma re se gora. Misi ba da tu sum ga che su yo na se. Pumba de tu sum ge tu su che su yo na se gora. Ene ngadu na yo ba pumba de ngadu ne yo re. Ngadu ne yo ba pumba de chidu na yo re. Ro chidu na yo ba pumba de ngadu na yo re. Yobar Kelly Kubicheros. Tini Midaba Rigmare Sigora. Yeah.
No.
The Tama Dingazo.
No. So, to read the commentary on this verse, it says, if, as asserted by Vaisheshikas, and includes the Vaisheshika here, the other one was the Vedantikas, then the Vaibhashikas, our own tenet system, and so forth, things exist by way of their own character. If things, if things exist by way of their own character, something missing in the English here, sorry. If, as asserted by Vaisheshikas, Vaibhashikas, and so forth, things existent by way of their own character exist in the future, exist in the past, and exist in the present, what part of a thing could ever not exist? How can there be impermanence for a proponent of substantially existent time? That everything would exist from beginningless time up to now and into the future. So how can there be impermanence for a proponent of substantially existent time? It follows that there cannot be any impermanent things. For if all three times are substantially existent, whatever exists at an earlier time must be accepted as existing later. And whatever exists at a later time must be accepted as existing earlier.
No, Taniba, Debat says to Bacabo said it. Oh, Maombe Tula, Maombe Tuni Mississippi essay. That do somebody never chagris the Italian Sarwa. You mean Maomba says on Meba Shindo, and then Debe 2 days at Maomba says Motion, Debe 2 day, Debe ranging all and there's some Mandesigua. Debe 2 day, Debe 2 all and Deba Reda. Debe tujingo madeban debe tu res resiora. This one.
No.
Do I need to go?
Driven. Driven suit driggy or
Did the number call party yora. Do some says you but get electric yora. Oh, debe tu days yora. Debe ranging ole desam and this. Then debe tu re maresiora. Debe tu de debe ranging ole. And Deba Reda, Madeba Reside. Debe Tudin, Debe Tu Reda, Maresiora.
Debe Tu Re,
yeah.
So then this next part too, for verse 255 is where we're refuting a substantially established or substantially existent past. So the Buddhist question then would be: the future is not substantially exist. That future time cannot exist in the future. Similarly, has the past passed beyond its own nature as the past or not? Is it? Does it become past or not?
This one. Debe Tudin, Debe Ranging Ole, Deba Yinsana Sigora. Tambutana Setsawa. Deba Lanin De Jurba, a Chichin and Deba use. You mean Deba then Deba Rigma Resherwa, Debing Ole and Desuna, Deban Deba Rigmarwa. Pumbing Ole and Desuna, Pumba Rigmarwa. Tanda Pumba Imbache Chasuna, Pumbing Ole and Deberwa. Pumba Rigmarwa. Some Debe Ngol and Deba Yena, and Deba Rigma Resigora. Didn't take it off. Deba you. Debalan and De Jurba, Chichin and Deba Jur said. Two niches on Debe Tudin, Debe rangi ngolen desam mandesera debe atin debe ngolen debe yesena debe len de jubani debe den debe rigma resigora
So if it has so the question is, does the past pass beyond its own nature as the past or not? So if it has passed beyond the past, then why is it the past? If it has not passed beyond the past, why is it the past?
This one. Jusechi chenan debar den debar gyurten debar mimbar tarsegora. Debe tüleni debar gyurbasen debe tülen debe yineni debe tüle telsin bare esgora. Debe rigmarva. Diba dore. Den this one. Niba darna seta dire. Di chwani yuba. Debe tüden debe rangi ngole desam mandesena deba den debe ngole mandeba resena niba dana zawa deba lane mandeba chi chena debar gyuruse juze chi chena debar gyurun deba mimbarta debe zeleni ne mandebar gyurba chawa chishimbe sege tangidu nebe cherosa deba lane mandeba Chichina debar yur. Jusen chichina kon debar yurdin deba mahimbar tasigdwa. Debe zeleni mandebar. Debe zele mandebar gyurba. Debe zele mandebare. Ani chawa chishimbe zegi tangidu neba yine ko tatawarisi rendu yora. Chawa chishimbe kela mangakwa reni tatawari ren deba rigme do serisigdwa. Yeah.
So, in response to the question, if it has passed beyond the past, why is it the past? In the first case, why is it the past if it has passed beyond the past? It follows it is not the past because of having passed beyond and gone from the past. And then in the second case, if it has not passed beyond the past, why is it the past? If it has not passed beyond the past, that means. So that would mean then, in the second case, for what reason is it the past? It follows that it is not the past, for it has not passed beyond a past substantial entity, but continues to exist as a substantial entity performing a function. In other words, it would be the present.
This one.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't do that. Sumba. Maumba chitra do kagwa telia. Subject nidua. Chitra mao sojin deba kagwa. Do deba sojin deba kagwa sinidua. That chitra men deba kagwa tela ngahingudua. Nene ne maumba ke maike tala kagwa asetire to tangbo. Maumba de ke bareta ma ke baresche. Thabkhe che ni maumba sestruba kagwa.
So we're going on to the third section on refuting that time is substantially established by nature. The third one is detailed refutation of the future. Refuting the assertions of the Vaibhashikas and so forth. And the first part here, which is 256, is under this, it's the actual meaning of the refutation by examining whether the future is produced or unproduced. So this is a detailed refutation of the future.
This one. Yeah. I'm going to be kagida tambo derda. Moya. Tambo maomba ke magita ne kagidwa. Maomba de maombe pumba de ke bareta ma ke bareshe Thabkhe kagidwa. No na telen kawas. Ta tambo ne chita do mawa ta samaul kagidwa. Pumbata Maombe Maomba Shidindo Kelemba Telase. Pumbate Maomba Re Maombe Pumbate Maomba Re Pumba Re Deora. Maomba la Pumba Yose Yora. Pumbe Gudus Pumba Yovasha Lugara Tada. And Maombe Pumbate Maomba Re Pumba Revas Yora. And she doing Yina Sura. And then Maombe Pumbate Kela Mangaba Red was. Pumbe Moki Pumba Mashi which dead was. And the Tata Rendo was Yora. There's a day. Chiramawa ta Pumbata Maombe she doing Kelemba Telasua. And it's our Kede Mao Ke Yonase, Maombe Pumbate Kene Kujin Kene Pumbengo Yoba Yenasugora. And it Chidar Tadar one Medjose. And it called Tadawa Redo Asugora. Kela Mangaba, Kudan Ken Latene Ke. And it Pumbengo Mangaba Pumba Redeora. Get Tadawa Rendo Resora. Kede Maombe Pumba Keba Shibu Yonase, Maombalaya, Pumbe Kutune, Pumba Sangachi Keba Chiona. Maombe Pumba Sastrubachi Yona Sigora. Any Chidara Tadawar Minjurdese. Any Maombe Pumba de Church, Tadawa Imbartal Sigora, Tadawa Minjurde Imbartas, Minjurde Jurata Sigora, Tadawa Mahimba Rigmare, Tadawa Imbarta, Kela Mangaba in Beaches, Pumbemo Keverco, Tanda Mangaba Pumba Steora, Tadawa Rendo Resigora.
So the verse here reads, if the future is produced, why is it not present? If it is unproduced, is the future permanent or what? So in addressing that first question, the commentary explains. So the question is, if the future is produced, why is it not present? If a produced future pot exists, why is it not present? It follows that it should be because it has been produced and has not ceased. So it should be present. It should be the present pot. If it is not produced, is the future pot permanent or what? It follows that it should be permanent because of being an unproduced thing. That means that the future would be present, and therefore it would always be present, would be permanent.
This one. Don't come later me. Oh, yeah, that's it. Tell a Kawa Mena Sora, Maombe Pumbati. Judan Kenletene Keba Maina Sigora. Chidi, Maombe Pumbatela, Kawa Meba Yina, and then Maombe Pumbati Church, Takbar Jurata Sigora. Maombe Pumba, Takbar Juram, Chi, Takbar Talasa, Takbar Redugua, Takbar Himbar Talasagora, Takbar Revesagor, Redugua Sigora. Ngobu Kanshi Majibe, Maombe Pumbati, Ngobunere, Judan Kenletene Makeba Sigora. Takbar Redu Sigora. Yeah.
So when we get to the next verse, it's addressing this. The assertion is coming back at this idea that that it would be permanent because of being an unproduced thing. The outline calls this. This is refuting the rejoinder. The rejoinder here, we'll just, for sake of translation, say the opponent, that makes the assertion, although the future is unproduced, causes and conditions make it become the present, thus it is not permanent. Saying, you said it was permanent. No, it's not permanent.
Niba te len kakba ne chidi maomba maje jang sikdo. O maombe pumba de kyujin le maje jang kyujin je tadarwa nidun juwar chebe takbar minjur siyan len jagdo. O maombe pumba de takba de regma re sigwara. Karres ne chidi maomba la maje jang maombe pumba de gyudan kengi majiba resi gora. Gyudan kengi kene ko tatawa rendu yora. Tene ta karsi gorsino, mahumbe pumbate, tene mahumba pumbate majiba re, gyujing majiba resi gora. Majiba, gyujing tatawa nidun yor, gyudan kengi mahumbe pumbate tatawa njura chigi yor resi gora. Chesan ko takba rigma resi nasi gora. This one. Niba te len dera, ko len jagdwa. Takba rendu kurwasina. De tangma tile chidi kewa mena, mahumbe pumba takba njuramchi, takba himbata, ngobu kanshi, kyujin le maji vechir silarwa. Da ko len jabche, mahumbe pumba te kyujin le de maji bhare, ina takba rigma resi gora. Ine kyudan kengi wange, mahumba de, tanda mahumba re de, ko kyudan kengi wange, tadawa njura chigi yo resi. Kyudan kengi chezen takba ma resi gwa. Shina asti re le.
So the saying it's not what do you say, unproduced or permanent, because causes and conditions come together to make it become the present. If we think of the pot, and so the future pot being the all the ingredients there. So if the future is impermanent because though not produced it disintegrates, since the past does not disintegrate, why not consider it permanent? So even if the
Chikche yamka, labka. Oya, tatanda de len de labsonga. Ene mahumbe pumbate, kyujingi ma jebe res. Ene ko takpa njogu ma res. Kyudan kengi wange ko tatawa nyitun joa chigi yebere. Tesunza takpa ma res labsonga. Da kewa me jan, jikba le, kede mahum meda nasikdwa. Tatawa mahumbe pumbate kyudan kengi kewa yo ma res rwa. Kewa me jans. Yena ko kyudan kengi wange tanda mahumba redete tatawa pumbe ngo kebar chigi yo res. Chesa mahumba den jik dugu yo re, tatawa re dugu res, nasi gora. Kewa me jan jikba le sikdwa. Yene kede mahum mida nasi, mahumba de takba rebe kyo yo ma re, midakba re. Kyudan kengi tene maji jan ko kyudan kengi wange yene mahumba de tatawa pumbe ngo re, kebar chigi yo res gora. Kesonza ko mahumba den jik dugu re. Ko takpa ma resikdo na, ti imbe kui chesigora. Yena, ta deba de kiran takpa rekdo asigora. Delan jikba yue me de, tene takpa chi me do se. Ta deba pumba de, ko deba rwa, pumba rwa, kyudan kenle tene kye rwa. Yene, ta ten jige yo mara ko. Mahumba na dede rwa. Ete takpa imbar ta asigora. Ko kyudan kenle jikba jige me do asigora. Chimedos, di tsawatire. Tene dreba loka ma loka shasha.
Lona?
Ya. Ene mahumba kewa me jansi, mahumba pumba de kyudan kenle de kewa me jan. Chin jikba sonza, kyudan kengi mahumba de tadawa pumba lipa kebar chesa, mahumba pumba de jing chukyo wara, takwa ma re shara. Kede mahumba pumba mida nansi, kede mahumba pumba mida nansi, debe pumba la jikba yuba me de tan debe pumba de kon deba ranji degri ma do deba de tatawa re ke yo marwa. Tate takba re do asir kiran debe pumba de meba re yo mar kon jige me do asigora. Tene takbar chi me do takbar tal ngobu kanshi mi jikbe echirs. O ti re ti badolo.
No. So again, this is the rejoinder, and if the verse 257 reads, "If the future is impermanent because though not produced it disintegrates, since the past does not disintegrate, why not consider it permanent?" So if even though the future is not produced, the future pot is impermanent because it subsequently disintegrates and that it undergoes change. It's saying here that they said it's unproduced, causes and conditions come together, and thus it's not impermanent, that it disintegrates, that then why not consider the past pot permanent because it does not disintegrate? It follows that it is permanent because of being a thing which does not disintegrate.
Oh, this one.
This one.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's a niba derida. Niba do need says to na, any midaba missible toss it. Deba dan tatawa nibute says to by any castle. Deba dan tatawa nidi. Do need says to Nasigba. Do need says to na midaba missible tower derida. Deba dan tatarwa, dene mida gurmila sigba. Oh, teda lesh number ni sumba tela yoma yese. Karisigdosina. Yana keranta na serva. Chitama kyotana sigda. Kanshi midagbar guruse. Kari midagbar regres ora. Deba tane tadarwan deni midagbar gurwa milase. Deba de midagbar regmedo tadarwa de midagbar regmedo sigora. Deba de ko jige yomar dedegra. Tata Pumba de ko Tata Orede, ne Tanda Mahobana ko Pumba de Yora. And a conjugate Minduas Yora. Devata Tata Anidi. Ta Mahoba de ko Mahomba members Tata Ngoya gave us Jibeke Chiefs Yora, you be one to dance Yora. Or Kanshi Midabar Juruba, Kanshi Midaban Jur. Debatane Tataran Dene, Midabar Jura Mila Tese, Debani Jigba Missibe Shereva. Tataruane. Midag bengo niji trubna midag bengo tadawade midag barango niji truba yina pumbengo truba yina ni chin jigba dan dreve shebaya midag bar tawar gyuro di garshira disa deba ni jigba misibe chirna chera tadarwa midag barango niji trubna chi shigba dan dreve shigba midag bar gyurta ale rere Tadawade midagbar ngoni jituba yina chi ini shigba yungurin deba yunguris tadawade deba shigba dan dreve shigba yang midagbar gyua talos ko shigba dagba keling gyora chira maoge shigba sede
shigba daba ya
ode keling gyora yada shigba yang midagbar gyuro se de tadar tedale shen namba ni sura sumba Mahomba tela midagba yoba mahimbe ngobu rangshinji tubar mawala midagba mebe tukelemba mirisos ta kera ngobu teni midagba mebe ngobu kanga takba re dugdo sigora ngobu rangshinji tubar mawa chitra mawa kyole yani midagba mebe tukelemba mirisos kechi ken juran duya tu sede ko juran dugu chemeda chayatele Tushaura. Kerana Pumbate, Mahobekane Pumbatesha, and Tata Pumbate, Mahobala Pumbachitesha, Jureke Mendoasigiora. And the Tesha answered.
So, verse 258 here. Again, is the consequence that impermanence is impossible if the two times are substantially established. Alternatively, what is impermanent according to you? If the past and the present are not impermanent, the third, which is different from these, is also not. The third being the future, which we already talked about. Okay. The past and the present are not impermanent because the past cannot disintegrate. If the present is impermanent as its own entity, through its subsequent connection with disintegration, it follows that disintegration too is impermanent. here the Vaibhashika say that disintegration is permanent. So then it's saying that disintegration would also be impermanent. Then, since the third, which is so different from the past and the present, namely the future, also is not impermanent, there is nothing impermanent for proponents of inherently existent things. Thus it is appropriate for them to assert the existence of time. Thus it is inappropriate for them to assert the existence of time.
You're dyslexic.
Yeah.
Oh, it's almost, I got 3 more minutes.
No, do so.
This one.
No.
Yeah.
Kama Sum.
This Shadamendo.
No, Shana yet.
Dig it away.
No, dig it there.
Oh, the
Maybe we'll end there because
we'll
we've run out of time. We've got 3 more minutes, but there's not
Oh,
time to cover.
Can do that.
No, that should be enough anyway.
Yeah.
No.